Nice.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Tallie I'm from Brentwood, Tennessee. I went to Ravenwood High School. It's public, and there were probably around 500 to 600 kids in my graduating class, and I just graduated from the University of Georgia. I took probably around like 6 APs, and then the rest of my classes were all honors. We didn't have IB at my school, and then I took 1 dual enrollment. They had it all written out for us beforehand. We had a program at my school where you could choose a track. There's nursing, marketing, all sorts of things, science, but I chose the AP track, so I kind of did a little bit of everything, but they had it written out for you. We didn't have advisors, so I kind of chose my own classes. In high school, I did DECA, Habitat for Humanity, Student Council, Girls Cotillion, Charity Group. I also ran track. I was Vice President of Student Council. I held a role in DECA for the Communications Committee, and then I was also Communications Committee on Habitat for Humanity. I started my junior year once I started taking the ACT and started looking at schools and what kind of scores they needed for entry level requirements and that sort of thing. They were very involved. We didn't have college counselors at our high school, so my parents I was the second kid, so they'd been through it before, so they were pretty helpful in looking at colleges, touring them, figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. The best part was getting to tour the colleges. I always felt like college tours were really exciting and everyone wants you to be there, and it's just a cool way to travel and see new places. And then the worst part was probably creating all the spreadsheets, figuring out the pricing. I was planning on going out of state, so there were lots of different requirements I wanted, like ranking and that sort of thing. So just compiling all that information was the worst part. Figuring out if I met the requirements of the school. A lot of the schools that I was planning on looking at were farther into my college search, so I wasn't sure if I was going to meet any of those requirements, and so that was pretty stressful, making sure that everything aligned. Probably reminders about deadlines. I think that was really important. That was something that I had to keep track of on all those spreadsheets that I did. It would have been nice to have someone, at my school or in my community that did that sort of thing and could lead people in the right direction. So I never took an SAT, but I took, I think, 4 ACTs. I took one, my very first one, the summer before junior year of high school, just to see if I needed tutoring or that sort of thing, and then I took the rest throughout my junior and senior year. I went to an ACT tutor, I think a couple times before my second or third ACT. Well, I knew I didn't want to be in-state, so that helped narrow down quite a few. What helped narrow down was actually visiting the colleges. That was, I think, the most helpful part, because once they met all of my requirements on paper, it was really important just to see, the environment of the school, what the people were like, what kind of programs they offered, and that sort of thing. I took 5 college visits, and they were all in person. I applied to 5 colleges. I was accepted to all of them. Factors that were most important to me were probably the ranking, the programs that they offered, the number of students that went to the school. It was important to go to a big school for me, maybe distance from where I was from. Well, it was perfect on paper. It had a great ranking, amazing programs, and a great state weather-wise, not too far away from my hometown, but also whenever I visited, I just felt like the tour guides and the people there were so welcoming, so smart, and it just seemed like an all-around amazing place. hardest part for me, because I was coming out of state, I didn't know one person coming into college, so I think meeting people was the hardest part, but that was expected. My major is advertising, my minor is Spanish, and my certificate is new media studies. I did plan to study abroad, but because of COVID, it was canceled twice, unfortunately. So I was involved in Greek life. I was in Chi Omega sorority, and then I was also in Advertising Club, American Marketing Association, Association of Latino Professionals for America, Habitat for Humanity, International Association of Business Communicators, and Management Society and Strike Magazine. I expected them to be a little harder than what I had taken in high school, but I feel like a lot of my professors, at least, made sure that we were prepared for kind of the rigor that each class would offer. Of course, some of them are easier and some of them are harder, so even though some might be harder than what I had expected, I felt like I was prepared. I think it's better than what I thought it was going to be. I was definitely really excited, but my education experience was amazing, the people that I met were amazing, and I felt like it was a place that had a lot of opportunity to meet people, to get involved, and to just grow as a person. I wish I had known that a lot of schools are going to be really good on paper, but once you go and visit, you can really get the kind of vibe and environment of what it really is like. Of course, those numbers and stats are really important, but it's also really important to make sure that you feel, like you fit on that campus. I would say definitely get involved. It looks amazing on a resume, but it's also really fun and a good way to meet people, especially once you get in college, if you have similar interests and that sort of thing. But also, I would start looking at college requirements. Whenever I came to tour UGA, they already had kind of, not requirements, but they expected 4 to 6 APs at the time that I was applying. And luckily I had taken that many, but if there was a chance I skipped over that. It's just important information to know so that you're prepared whenever you're going through the application process. I would say I thought it was really helpful to take the ACT kind of early, just so I could see which sections that I needed the most help or work on, and just to kind of get a feel for the test. You don't have a necessarily huge limit for the test, so I would say take it as much as you can, and probably around sophomore, junior year. Although it's important to make sure that you're super ready for college, just enjoy your time in high school too. It's a really fun time in your life where you don't have a ton of responsibilities, so enjoy while you can. And go Dogs.
Nice. Yay.
Sweet.